Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We got a good one today. What we're going to be doing is we'll be doing our predictions and picks for all of our Week 15 NFL matchups. We're going to completely break these games down, look at the matchup, try to predict the winner, who's going to win, lose, and what the final score will be. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments about this games or anything else, please drop them below, and I will respond. Every week we go over every single NFL game. We also do the same thing for every college football game as well. The top 25, the non-top 25. If you're a football fan, if you're a sports fan, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can follow along with us. Like I was saying, Monday night just wrapped up. Week 14 is in the books. It is never too early to start looking at the Week 15 matchups and trying to break these games down. We're also going to mention our best bets, the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. Let's go ahead and get started. There's a lot of games. There's no one on a bye week this week. And I'm actually pretty sure this video last week, we only got one pick wrong last week. We had a really good Week 14, but let's start looking at these Week 15 matchups. Kicking things off Thursday, December 12th, we have the 7-6 LA Rams versus the 6-7 San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams coming off wins. Right now, you have the 49ers coming in as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 48.5, and they have a 60.6% chance to win this game. Both of these teams are more than capable of winning one. This game is practically a 50-50 pick'em, but right now with the Rams, do not underestimate them due to their record. A lot of those games were without two of their star players, Cooper Kupp, Nakua. When they have their entire offense on the field, this is a deadly offense, more than capable of getting in a shootout with anyone. 49ers. When they're fully healthy, they might have the best top-to-bottom roster in the NFL, but that's the issue. When they're fully healthy, they have yet to be fully healthy this entire season. Looking at the Rams, they're going to have Stafford. He's closing on 3,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. They're averaging 22.9. Throwing for 237.7, running for 103, giving up 25.5 points a game. Very questionable defense, but their offense is where the weapons are. Stafford, Williams, Atwell, Nakua, Kupp. Multiple weapons for this veteran quarterback to be able to spread the ball out to. For San Francisco, they need Brock Purdy to have a big game in order to be able to keep up with the LA Rams offense. Right now, he's closing in on 3,100 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. They're averaging 23.7, throwing for 239.6, running for 138.9. Very, very good offense still, and they're giving up 23.7 points a game. They've had guys going in and out the entire season. McCaffrey, Mason, Ayuk, multiple weapons they've been down. They still have Jennings has had a massive season this year. Kittle, they still have the weapons there. They're more than capable of scoring some points here, especially on the Rams defense. I'm going to go with San Francisco winning a close one, taking this one 27-24, but this is honestly anyone's game. And we're now moving on to our Sunday matchup, Sunday, December 15th, kicking things off at 1 p.m. on Fox. We have the 5-8 Dallas Cowboys versus the 3-10 Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, since Bryce Young has come back as a starter, he's actually been playing pretty decent. And, of course, they have Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard having a great season on the ground. Right now, the Panthers are actually the favorite. The first time they've been a favorite in 3 years. They're 1.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 43.5, but the Cowboys have a 53.2% chance to win this game. Obviously, the Cowboys are going to be down Dak Prescott. Their strength used to be running game, offensive line, defense. All three of those things are their weakness this season. They have a lot of issues running the ball, and they have a top 3 worst defense in the NFL. Right now, they're averaging 20.6 points a game, throwing for 231.4, only running for 91.2, which is actually higher than it was the last few weeks, and they are giving up 28.2 points a game, which is a bottom 3 defense in the NFL. They have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb cannot do everything. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders currently. Someone else has to step up in that wide receiver room. And looking at the Panthers, Bryce Young closing on 1,600 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. They're averaging 17.9. That's a bottom 5 offense. They're throwing for 186.8, running for 106.2, giving up 29.8 points a game. That's been steadily coming down. It used to be 34. It's slowly working its way down because the offense is starting to stay on the field longer, giving some time for that defense to rest. Chuba Hubbard's closing in on 1,100 yards. He's the X factor here. Where he goes, the Panthers go. The Cowboys give up a lot of yards on the ground. They have an awful rush defense. They're giving up 142 rushing yards per game. Panthers are going to line up. They're going to try to run it down their throat, try to open up that play action down the field. I'm actually going to go with the Panthers to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Crazy stuff, but the Cowboys are bad this season. I have the Panthers winning this one still in a close one, 23-20. And then the next matchup on Fox at 1 p.m., the 3-10 New York Jets, who have actually been playing a lot better on offense the last few weeks. Rodgers starting to vertically push that ball down the field, and we're starting to see the wide receiver core step up, make the big-time catches. They'll be playing the 3-10 Jacksonville Jaguars. They finally got their third win of the season this past week. Props to them. They pulled the win out. They don't have Lawrence, but they were still able to start consistently moving the ball. They got some stops on defense. Jacksonville has a bottom 5 defense. They were able to get some stops when it mattered. Right now, you have the Jets coming in here. They are 3.5-point favorites. The over in here is 40.5, and the Jets have a 63.3% chance to win this game. It's all going to come down to Rodgers and that wide receiver core continuing to step up. Right now, it's closing in on 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 picks. The offense is playing better. I'd say the last 3 to 4 weeks, they're averaging 19.3. Throwing for 212.8, running for 87. They are giving up 23.1 points a game. They do need that defense to continue to play well. They gave up too many points when it mattered versus the Dolphins. They need especially their secondary to start locking things down. And for Jacksonville, they're averaging 18.3, throwing for 198.2, running for 98.9, giving up 26.5 points a game. Their main issue is their secondary, giving up 264 passing yards per game. That's a bottom 3 secondary in the NFL. There's going to be a lot of targets wide open for the Jets. That's where the wide receiver core comes in. Garrett Wilson, Lazard, Devontae Adams. Rodgers has to have time to find those guys wide open down the field. They will be wide open down the field. And for Jacksonville, they want that run game to kind of carry the way for them, especially with Trevor Lawrence out. But I have the Jets and their better offense as of late winning this game 24-13. And then at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 8-5 Washington Commanders versus the 5-8 New Orleans Saints. Right now, it's going to be the Washington Commanders, 7.5-point favorites. The over here is 42.5. They have a 54.6% chance to win this game. The big thing that happened this past weekend is Derek Carr got hurt. I think he fractured his hand. He's going to be banged up. He's obviously going to miss some time. Could miss the rest of the season. So they're going to be down their starting quarterback more than likely here. Right now for Washington, Jaden Daniels, he's closing in on 2,900 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. It's also what he can do with his legs. He has 6 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Carr, he was having a decent season. They were playing a lot better as of late. Saints do not have a bad roster by any means, but they've been extremely banged up. It just got worse, and they're very, very Alvin Kamara reliant. As of right now, Washington, they're averaging 28.9 points a game. That's a top 5 offense. Throwing for 220.7, running for 156.9. Very balanced offense. They're giving up 22.8. And the Saints, they're averaging 22.3, throwing for 212.8, running for 128.7, giving up 22.5 points a game. Kamara, he's closing in on 1,000 yards on the ground and 500 yards receiving. They need another weapon to step up in that wide receiver room, especially with Olave, who's been up and down this season, and he's been banged up the whole season. And then looking at Washington, they have Brian Robinson Jr., they have Terry, they have the weapons, they have the healthy quarterback. I have to go with them to win this game. They win it 28-13. And then on Fox at 1 p.m., we have the 5-8 Cincinnati Bengals versus the 3-10 Tennessee Titans. Right now, you have the Tennessee Titans who are going to be the underdogs. The Bengals obviously coming off that win versus the Cowboys. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL, the number 1 passing offense in the NFL. They're going to be 5-point favorites here. The over-under is 47.5. They have a 63% chance to win this game. They're going to be led by Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been lighting things up through the air. The number 1 passing quarterback in the NFL is closing on 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 6 picks. Right now, they're 5-point favorites. They're averaging 27.8 points a game, throwing for 272 yards per game. That's number 1, running for 90.3. On defense, that's where the issues lie. They're giving up 27.7 points a game. They give up as many points as they score. Can they score enough points to beat Tennessee? They should be able to. Right now, they're going to be going with Levis. Levis is closing on 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 picks. They're averaging 17.5, throwing for 182.8, running for 112.5, giving up 26.3 points a game. They only give up about 290 yards on defense, but they have a lot of turnovers on their own side of the field that consistently puts their defense in rough positions. But they do have Terry Pollard, and they have Calvin Ridley, but the Bengals are loaded. Brown, Chase, Higgins, when their wide receiver core is healthy, is a top 3 receiver core in the NFL. We have the Bengals and their offense scoring enough points here to make the difference. They win it 26-20. And then on CBS at 1 p.m., the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs. Everything is going their way. The football gods love the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll be playing the 3-10 Cleveland Browns, who are not a bad roster by any means. Their defense is on the field a lot, and Deshaun Watson earlier this season put him in a really bad position to start the year. Jameis Winston is the better option at quarterback, but which version of Winston do we get? Do we get the turnovers or do we get the touchdowns? That's a 50-50 shot here. Right now, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes playing a lot better recently. He's closing on 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 picks. This is when the Chiefs start getting deadly. They're not a regular season team. They are a playoff team. They are a veteran team. As we get closer to the playoffs, you're going to see the best version of the Chiefs. They're averaging 23.7, throwing for 227.6, running for 110.6, only giving up 19.4 points a game, only giving up 88 yards on the ground. They get turnovers. They get pressure on the defensive front. They're going to get pressure on Jameis Winston, try to force him into some errant throws, try to pick him off. That's their goal. Give their offense the short field. Right now, Cleveland, they have Winston. He's closing on 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 9 picks. They're averaging 17.8, throwing for 224.5, running for 88.5, giving up 25.8 points a game. That number is a little screwed just because of their offense having consistent issues getting first downs and getting the defense off the field. They have Ford, they have Judy, they do have the weapons there, but Kansas City, and they're getting more healthy. Hunt, Pacheco, Kelsey, Worthy, they're starting to get their guys back. We have Kansas City continuing to stay hot, continuing to win. They win this one 23-17. And then at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 6-7 Miami Dolphins slowly chipping their way back to 500. They basically have to win out in order to have a shot to make the playoffs. They'll be playing the 8-5 Houston Texans. Do not underestimate the Dolphins, though. A lot of those losses were without Tua. And now that they have him back, they've actually had a top 5 offense since he's been back on the field. He's closing on 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 4 picks. They're averaging 20.3 points a game, throwing for 226.5, running for 105.2, giving up 22.5 points a game. They have a top 5 rush defense in the NFL, giving up 105 yards on the ground. Houston, they're down Diggs, but they have Nico Collins back. He's a top 5 wide receiver when he's fully healthy. He's someone that Stroud can rely on to push that ball down the field and open up that run game. Stroud's closing in on 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. They are fully rested right now coming off the bye. They're averaging 23.7, throwing for 221.2, running for 114.1, giving up 22.2 points a game. They have Mixon. They have Nico Collins closing in on 900 yards, and the guy missed like 4 games. But Miami has one of the most loaded offensive rosters in the NFL. Achin, Mostert, Hill, Waddle, Berrios, Beckham, multiple veteran guys for them to spread the ball out to, but Houston's the favorite here. 2.5 point favorite. The over-under here is 47.5. They have a 55.1% chance to win this game. This game is on the road, but it's not cold. We know Miami cannot play or win a game in the cold weather. I'm actually going to go with Miami getting the upset on the road. Their offense leading the way, grabbing them this game. They win it 24-21. And our next matchup, we're going to be looking at CBS at 1 p.m. The 8-5 Baltimore Ravens coming off the bye versus the 2-11 New York Giants. The Ravens better win this game. They have the number 2 rushing offense in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson is putting up MVP caliber numbers. They are 14.5 point favorites. That is a massive NFL spread. The over here is 43.5, and they have an 81.5% chance to win this game. A very lopsided game. Right now, Lamar Jackson is closing in on 3,300 yards passing, 29 passing touchdowns, 3 picks. He also has 3 rushing touchdowns to add with that. They're averaging 29.5. That's a top 3 offense. They're throwing for 243.4. The number 2 rush offense, they're running for 179.1. Very balanced, multiple ways they can beat you and wear you down. They are giving up 24.5 points a game. Their weakness, if they have one, is they give up 265 passing yards per game. One of the worst in the NFL. You can throw on them, but you cannot run on them. They're only giving up 82.7 yards on the ground. And the Giants have a lot of issues moving the ball. They're down to their 3rd string quarterback right now. They're averaging 14.9, one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They're throwing for 185.5, running for 115.6, giving up 22.5. They have Tracy Jr., they have Malik Neighbors, a legitimate wide receiver number 1, but he just doesn't have a quarterback who can consistently get him the ball in space. We have the Baltimore Ravens and their offense just lighting things up here. They win this one 28-13. And then the next matchup we're going to have coming up on Fox at 4:25 p.m., the 7-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't have Godwin, but they got Mike Evans back. He's a difference maker at the wide receiver position. They'll be playing the 8-5 LA Chargers. The Chargers, this is a hardball team. They run the ball. They play legitimate top-of-the-line caliber defense. Actually, the number 1 defense in the NFL, but right now, you have the Chargers. They are the slight favorites, 3-point favorites. The over here is 46.5, and these Chargers have a 51.6% chance to win this game. This game is practically a pick 'em here. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, one of the best passing quarterbacks in the NFL, picked up right where he left off last season. He's closing in on 3,400 yards, 28 touchdowns, 13 picks. They're averaging 27.9 points a game, throwing for 241, running for 138.3, and they're giving up 23.6 points a game. The Chargers, Herbert's now starting to push the ball down the field, but they've been pretty banged up. He is closing in on 2,800 yards, 14 touchdowns, only one pick. They're averaging 21.3. They're throwing for 198.1, running for 111.5. The number one defense in the NFL, giving up 15.9 points a game. Can they get enough pressure on Baker Mayfield to make a difference this game, especially with his security blanket, Mike Evans, back on the field? Chargers need a healthy team. They need Dobbins, they need McConkey, both back on the field full time. I'm going to go upset here. I have Tampa Bay and their offense scoring just enough points to outmatch the Chargers defense. They win it close, 24-21. And this next one is an under-the-radar good one. This is two playoff-level teams that we're going to have playing here. Kicking this one off, we have at 4:25 p.m. on Fox, the 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers versus the 11-2 Philadelphia Eagles. Two teams that are bound to make the playoffs. This game's going to go either way. Right now, the Eagles and their offense, they are 5.5-point favorites. The over here is 42.5, and they have a 60.2% chance to win this game. You don't want to underestimate the Steelers. Every game is a one-possession game with them. Whether they win or lose, they keep it within reach of their offense to be able to have the ball last, go down the field and score. They're going to be rolling with Russell Wilson, closing on 1,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's redeemed himself from that awful year he had last season. They're averaging 24.8, throwing for 206, running for 132.1, and they have a top 7 defense, giving up 18.3 points a game. Just like Harbaugh, this is a Tomlin team. They run the ball and they play elite-level defense. Expect a steady dose of Najee Harris. He's closing in on 900 yards on the ground, and they have George Pickens. Don't get any stupid, crazy flags. Keep this game within reach, and you might be able to upset the Eagles, who almost got upset this past weekend, but they are on a massive winning streak right now, led by Hurts, closing on 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. He also has 13 rushing touchdowns. That all comes down to that tush push. They're averaging 26.3, throwing for 180.6, the number one rushing offense in the NFL, running for 190.5. Crazy rushing numbers. They're going to wear you out. Can you match them up over 4 quarters of physical running? And they're only giving up 18 points a game on defense. They have a loaded team. Saquon Barkley might get 2,000 yards this season. He might break the all-time rushing record in 1 year. He might be the MVP this season. They have Brown, Smith. I have the Eagles and that running game winning this one 23-20, but I would not be surprised if the Steelers pull off the upset here, but I'm going to go Eagles in a close one. And then on CBS at 4:25 p.m., the 3-10 New England Patriots versus the 6-7 Arizona Cardinals, who want to get back to their winning ways. Right now, they are 6.5-point favorites. The over here is 46.5. They have a 69.5% chance. Cardinals had a really long winning streak going. That got snapped. They're a very flip-flop team. Play really good, play really bad. They're due for a good performance, though, this week, because the Patriots are still having consistent issues moving the ball down the field, punching it in the red zone. They are going to be led by rookie Drake May. They're closing, and they are averaging 17 points a game, throwing for 171.5, running for 119.5, giving up 23.6 points a game. And the Cardinals loaded on the offensive side. They have Kyler Murray's closing in on 2,900 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. He has 4 rushing touchdowns. He can change the game with his legs. He can scramble for first downs, but he's always keeping his eye looking down the field. They're averaging 21.8. They're throwing for 208.2, running for 139.8, giving up 22.2 points a game. Their pass rush, much improved over last season, but they have been pretty banged up. When they're healthy, they have Connor, McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., and on the other side, Stevenson, Hunter Henry. To me, this game is practically a pick-em. I would not be surprised because this is the type of game the Patriots win, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals trying to build something here to wrap the season up. They win this one 27-16. And then at 4:25 p.m. on CBS, the 6-7 Colts versus the 8-5 Denver Broncos. We know what Denver does best. They can play time of possession, but it's their defense that's going to keep them in any game. Right now, the Broncos, 4-point favorites. The over here is 44.5. They have a 56.4% chance to win this game. The Colts have moved back to Anthony Richardson. I've not been very high on him since he came out of the University of Florida. He's just not an accurate passer, but he's obviously a game changer with his legs on the ground. They're averaging 20.5. throwing for 192.7, running for 118.8, giving up 22.9 points a game. When they're healthy, Jonathan Taylor can be the X factor, catching the ball, running the ball. They have Pearson for the Broncos. Bo Nix, awful start to the season, but Sean Payton's been coaching to his strength. Dink and dunk, accurate passes, roll that pocket, give him the option to scramble for first downs. He's closing in on 2,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 picks. They're averaging 23.5, throwing for 209, running for 111.2. But it's that defense only giving up 18 points a game, only 94.7 yards on the ground. Colts want to establish the run game. Denver and their defensive line want to make that difficult. They want to force them into third and long passing situations. They have Williams, Sutton. I have Denver's defense making the difference. They win this one 27-20, and they control the ground game. And then on CBS at 4:25 p.m., the 10-3 Buffalo Bills coming off that loss, but no doubt, who wants to play this team versus the 12-1 Detroit Lions? Who wants to play this team? This is, as of right now, probably the best top-to-bottom team in the NFL, but this is a playoff game. This is two teams, two of the best teams, two of the top 5 teams in the NFL matching up. Right now, the Lions 2-point favorites. The over-under here is 54.5. They have a 56.6% chance to win this game, but let's call it what it is. This game is going to come down to the fourth quarter. It's going to come down to the final possession. It's going to be a quarterback shoot-'em-out game. It's going to be a fun one to watch. One of the best games of the year so far. Right now, Josh Allen putting up MVP caliber numbers, closing on 3,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. He also has 10 rushing touchdowns. He can control the game on the ground. They have one of the best offenses. They're averaging 30.5 points a game. That's a top 3 offense, throwing for 229.3, running for 125.7, giving up 20.6 points a game. They have the defense to travel on the road and beat Detroit in Detroit, but Goff is back in 2023 form. He's closing on 3,300 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. He just has to keep those turnovers down this game. They're averaging 32.1. The number 1 overall offense in the NFL. It's actually number 1 versus number 2 here. They're throwing for 243.8, running for 151.1, giving up 18 points a game. They have Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown, multiple ways they can beat you, running, throwing with their defense. And for Buffalo, they have Cook, Shakir, Coleman, Amari Cooper when he's healthy. This is going to be a close game. I hate picking this game. It's going to be a fun one to watch, though. It will come down to that final possession. I have Detroit at the end of the fourth quarter winning this one, 34-31. And then at 8:20 p.m. on NBC, the 9-4 Green Bay Packers versus the 8-5 Seattle Seahawks. This is our final Sunday night game, third to last game overall. Right now, the Packers, they're fully rested. They have a great offense. They have a legitimate defense. Right now, they are going to be the favorites here on the road. They come into this game 3-point favorites. The over here is 46.5. They have a 62.6% chance to win this game. Jordan Love just has to keep the turnovers down. They're averaging 26.8. Throwing for 231.6, running for 144.7, and they're giving up 21.1 points a game. Jordan Love himself, even though he missed 3 to 4 games, he's closing in on 2,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 picks. They have Josh Jacobs on the ground. They have Reed, but Seattle's one of those teams you don't know which version of Geno Smith shows up. He has 14 touchdowns, 12 picks, almost as many interceptions as touchdowns. Does he have a turnover game here, or does he keep the game clean? They're going to have a clean game in order to keep up with the Packers on the offensive side. They're averaging 23.2. Throwing for 249, running for 95.4, giving up 21.8 when they're healthy. Kenneth Walker, Smith, DK Metcalf, but they need a healthy team on the field. They need a clean game from Geno Smith to have a chance here, but they can more than capable win this game. But I have the Packers winning it on the road, 28-20. And we actually have 2 Monday night games this week. Moving on to our first one, Monday, December 16th at 8 p.m. on ABC, the 4-9 Chicago Bears. What a disaster they've had since the Hail Mary loss. They need to get a win. They need it bad. They need their offense to step up here. They need Caleb Williams to not hold the ball too long, and they need that offensive line to hold up. It's the 4-9 Bears versus the 11-2 Minnesota Vikings. What a surprise team they've been this season. They are 6.5-point favorites. Over here is 43.5. They have a 65.3% chance to win this game. Caleb Williams closing in on 2,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks, playing clean football for over the last month. They're averaging 19.5, throwing for 182.7, running for 105.8, giving up 21.4 points a game. They have Swift, Moore, Odunze, Allen. They have a young and a veteran wide receiver core. They have the weapons there. They just need to give Caleb Williams time, and when he has time, don't hold it for too much time. And for Minnesota, Sam Darnold having a great season, closing on 3,300 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks. They're averaging 26.1, throwing for 238.2, running for 113.2, giving up 18.5 points a game, only giving up 87 yards on the ground. They have Jones Sr., they have Justin Jefferson, who might be the number one wide receiver in the NFL. The Bears are due for a win, but I don't have it being this weekend. I have the Vikings winning this one 28-17. And our final game of Week 15 on ESPN at 8 p.m. on Monday, the 6-7 Atlanta Falcons, who are due to get a win here. They need a clean game from Kirk Cousins. He's been playing pretty sloppy football the last few weeks, but they have the weapons for him to get things back on track. Who better than to play the 2-11 Las Vegas Raiders, who they just don't do anything well. They're shuffling quarterbacks. O'Connell, Minshew. Right now, the Falcons, they are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5, and they have a 58% chance to win this game. Kirk Cousins, 17 touchdowns, 15 picks. Those are awful numbers, man. Keep the ball clean. Don't force anything. Take what the defense gives you. Right now, they're averaging 21.4, throwing for 250.2, running for 120.8, and they're giving up 25.6 points a game. They need better play from the defense. They need better play from the offense, especially at quarterback, because they got the weapons. Bijan Robinson, Algiers, Mooney, London, Pitts, multiple guys to spread the ball to. And for the Raiders, they don't do anything well. They're only averaging 18.2 a game, throwing for 223.9, running for 79.1, the worst rushing team in the NFL, giving up 27.8, one of the worst offenses, a bottom 5 defense. They have Madison. They have Brock Bowers, who's having a great season so far, but he's the only weapon. He needs someone who can actually get him the ball. Falcons should be able to cruise here, get that offense back on track. They win it 27-18. So that's all of our Week 15 picks and predictions. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below, and I will respond. Thank you.